Hello, ladies and gentlemen and business owners. This video today is being made for Swiss Air, who I'm sure has some Boeing products that are buzzing around. And if they've been buzzing, if you got them in 2002 till present, I'd be very leery about those aircraft. I say that as a quality professional. My name is Daryl Guberman. I am the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We've been in business for 13 years, and we've also been involved with quality for 40 plus years. Of quality, aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt with every company under the sun, every industry. My background is plastics and composites and metals, non-ferrous, aluminum, titanium alloys. There are fastening products, bonding products, resin systems, everything else. Metal matrix composites. If you want my education, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm coming out of the blue. You're probably scratching your head because this goes not only to the management and personnel of Swiss Air, but it also goes to the people who are flying on your aircraft, which is very important. I will say this as well. David Foster Wallace said this: "The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you." Mr. Thomas Paine 300 years ago said this when speaking the truth: "It is like administering medication to the dead." And one of the best is A.A. Milne, who wrote Winnie the Pooh, stated this: "It is easier to believe a lie that one has heard 1,000 times than to believe a fact no one has heard before. In Swiss Air, I will prove to you a fact that Boeing became the FAA regulatory authority in 2009. You cannot make this up. They also were caught fudging documentation in many arenas during this time of regulatory authority." And now we continue. This video today, and I say this again, QA expert Daryl Guberman alerts Swiss Air and passengers about Boeing being an FAA regulator 2009 to present. But it's affected quality since 2002, and you're going to find out why. You have ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental entity, and it has both federal agencies and corporations on board. In 2015, a Mr. Randy Doherty, the Vice President of ANAB, the Chairman of the IAF, International Accreditation Forum, and also he was the principal, so he had complete command and control over this mess. He handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality since 1994, 30 years. At the same time he became a chairman, he was also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, located in Beijing, China. And remember this: he is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take your data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. 2017, we can see him here in Wuhan, China, issuing a laboratory certification. And the China National Accreditation Services is equivalent in accreditation to ANAB because they're part of the IAF. The International Accreditation Forum is a repository for national and international accreditation bodies. ANSI, ANAB are their underwriters. They take full responsibility not only for systematic failure, but when they put the underwriters specification, they are also responsible for the products being manufactured in that facility. You have a Miss Pamela Sale, who under deposition, who is the Vice President of Quality for Laboratory Accreditation, and I quote, "From one laboratory to another, there are variances lacking protocols, which means the virus did escape from that Wuhan lab, and she confessed to it." I have that if you want that information, 203-556-1493 or Daryl, DARYL, TQRS at yahoo.com. We have the factor, here you go. ANAB sits on ANSI's board. And they also sit over by Boeing and all that mess. You have the factor also that ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. Sitting on the IAF when it was controlled by Communist China between 2015 and 21 is ANSI ANAB. I'll tell you on the record. In 2016, Randy Doherty invited me to join either ANAB or the IAF or both, but how in good conscience could I join when Zhao Jinwu was number one, mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take your data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7? You tell me. To make matters even better, on an American yet company, the IAF incorporated in Delaware, you have the factor of Iran and Pakistan sitting there as members, okay? A couple years ago, they got their membership taken away because of lack of payment. So you know what the IAF is in for, just like ANSI and ANAB does the same. Lack of payment, they withdraw the certificate. Isn't that a tender moment? So anyway, you have Osama bin Laden, who is dead now, but Pakistan harbored him. And you have Khomeini here, who says death to the United States. And the worst thing, as a proud American Jewish business leader, I find this horrendous, because you have an American-based company that has Iran on board. You have an American-based company that has allegiance to this. In fact, in 2016, ANSI came out with a memo that said, we will do everything possible to meet with Iran. We can't meet in America, we can't meet on Iran, but we'll find a neutral country to meet. Isn't that a tender moment? So they're basically in bed with Iran and Pakistan, and I don't say this about the people. I say this about the politicians. They are equivalent in accreditation to ANAB, ANSI ANAB, and you will find out that Boeing basically calls them out on their supplier portal. You have 7 different registrars that can issue an ANSI ANAB accreditation. They sit over by ANAB. So you have the certificate, and they're sitting by is there any oversight? There's no oversight. You can see that with Boeing's quality, Pfizer's quality, et cetera, et cetera. I can go on and on. So Intertek here is Spirit Aerospace Systems registration company, okay? And Patrick Shanahan took it over. And I think he took it over because their quality sucks. And it's not the people. I'm sure it's the management that puts pressure on those people, and the people have probably a very, I don't know, they'll probably get somebody to prove me wrong, but their quality is problematic. So we continue on with this. You have Boeing, Swiss Air. This is very, very important. In 2002, Boeing put out a Boeing supplier notification. It basically said that if you're ANSI ANAB accredited, which I didn't put in there because that'd be a monopoly, but as I showed you, and you'll come up seeing it, that Boeing sits on ANSI ANAB's board. They sit on ANSI's management board that can have influence on the running of the company, and they also sit on the other management board that could grant, suspend, and withdraw certification and have all the data. They basically said in their supplier notification in 2002, that's 22 years, ladies and gentlemen, they said that if you send us your certificate, send us your AS9100 certificate, which is for aerospace, it's the international standard for aerospace, AS9100 is an ISO standard. You just send us your certificate, send us your part, we'll put it on a plane, and we don't have to send any more source inspectors. This is the best one, Swiss Air, and I want you to listen good, because the first sentence is the best, and I will say this again. You can find all pertinent data down below in the description. And this is what it says. The FAA increased the authority of Boeing's commercial airplanes division to self-certify its own aircraft. So what that means is, I will read this next paragraph to you. What this means is this. Boeing employs to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies and new aircraft designs. That means they could design it, build it, fly it, and sign off on it. And here's Boeing sitting on ANSI's board. And here is right off their supplier portal. It states ANSI ANAB or internationally equivalent, and I showed you who that internationally equivalent can be, Iran or Pakistan. Okay? How do you like them apples? And you can't make this up. One of the worst things, and I think you ought to keep your ears privy to this, Swiss Air, management, personnel, and passengers. Boeing got caught fudging documentation. Why not? They're an FAA regulator. They can do anything they want to do. They got caught fudging documentation. Several weeks ago, a Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey went down with soldiers in it, killing them all. Their composite facility afterwards, about 3 weeks after, got an $8.1 million fine for skipping quality process and fudging documentation in their composite facility. And since I am a composites guy, I'm going to explain this to you as briefly as I could, and I want this to soak in. In composites, let's say you have graphite. You laying up graphite on graphite on graphite, okay? The graphite is impregnated with a resin because Under temperature and pressure, that graphite, those sheets become one solid part. The only problem is if you don't follow temperatures and pressures dictated by the engineering group, okay, you'll have interstitial bubbling going on, which means those interstitial bubbles, you have fabric. And in between the fabric, you may end up with bubbles, or in between the space between, interstitially, between the fabric was not pressure properly. You'll have vibratory stresses. They'll cause the fabric to debond, whether it's on a helicopter part, V-22, airplane, whatever. The problem, too, is you find out that the FAA and its regulatory authority, Boeing, sit together on ANSI's board. The last thing I'm going to tell you, Swissair, and I want you to listen to this and listen well, is that most recently I saw an article, several of them, that said the National Transportation and Safety Board is going to go and investigate, along with the FAA, and they're going to investigate Boeing 737 Alaska Air deal. Well, not only is the FAA sitting on ANSI's board, but you also have the Department of Transportation, which runs the National Transportation and Safety Board. Is there something wrong with this? You have a problem, too, with the factor that Boeing, you saw it firsthand, that they became self-certified a regulatory authority, FAA. So what that makes it, ladies and gentlemen, and business owners and Swissair, he is an administrator of the whole mess. You also have Patrick Shanahan, who took over Spirit Aerosystems, who is certified by ANAB and accredited by ANAB, but certified by Intertech. That's all I'm going to leave you, Swissair. I hope this gets to you, and I hope you listen, because as Thomas Paine said, and I'll say it again, when speaking the truth, it's many times like administering medication to the dead, and I hope you're not dead. And I hope that a plane doesn't go down, because from 2002, you see, to present, you have definite problems. And in fact, I read in the Wall Street Journal that one of the guys came out, union guys, said that they've let quality deficiencies leave the hangar and go flying with people in it. Well, you saw fudging documentation. Unbelievable. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS @yahoo.com. I thank you.